Does your phone number change when you get an eSIM abroad? Can you still get text messages? Can you use two eSIMs at once? eSIMs can be a confusing topic, so in this video I'm going to answer your most common questions about using an eSIM while you're abroad and while you're at home too. Hi everybody, foXnoMad here, and today I want to help you travel smarter. So today we're talking eSIMs, so let me give you a quick recap in case you don't know what they are, because they can be very useful if you travel internationally. eSIMs are electronic SIM cards. The physical version of SIM cards looks like this, and the eSIM version is just purely digital. Physical SIM cards are still used, but they are slowly being phased out as many new phones don't even have a physical slot for a SIM card. And your first reactions might be, this is so stupid. Why is this happening? And this is so confusing. If one of those three statements or all of those three statements sounds like you, let's talk a little bit about eSIMs. First of all, eSIMs have many advantages compared to physical SIM cards when it comes to travel internationally especially. Secondly, the move to eSIMs is happening for a number of reasons, but one of the main ones is that by removing the physical SIM card and the physical SIM card slot in a phone, manufacturers have more space inside for additional components and a bigger battery. Yes, I know SIM cards aren't that big, but phones aren't that big either, and so every millimeter inside of a phone counts, even that SIM card slot. And the third point might be that you find eSIMs confusing. So let's get to that. How to think about eSIMs. At a very basic level, to alleviate some of your confusion, just think of an eSIM as being the same thing as a SIM card. They are both performing the same function. An eSIM, like a physical SIM card, is what identifies your phone to a given network. The job of the SIM, or subscriber identity module, is to tell AT&T, Vodafone, or any other network who your phone is. If you've paid for service with T-Mobile, then the SIM card has the identification information that lets your phone use the T-Mobile network. It's like trying to get into a club with a list. If you're not on the list, then you don't get in. Throughout this video, I'm going to use the terms eSIM and SIM interchangeably because they perform the same function, which is to identify your phone to a mobile network. A lot of confusion starts because people associate eSIM with international travel, and a lot of providers use the term eSIM to mean a temporary or international mobile service provider. So the first thing to remember, and I'm going to keep repeating this, is that an eSIM and SIM are performing the same function. At home, wherever that is for you, there's a good chance that you're already using an eSIM or will be using an eSIM for your mobile service at some point. The majority of new iPhones don't have physical SIM card slots anymore, and the same thing with Samsung and many other phones. You may have gone through the process of having to scan a QR code to get your new phone service up and running, and if you did, you were probably installing an eSIM. An eSIM is like a physical SIM card, except an eSIM you can manage digitally either from your laptop or from your phone directly, so you don't have to swap out cards. It's a lot more convenient. You also don't need to keep track of multiple physical SIM cards. You can't really lose a digital eSIM unless you delete it off of your phone, so you can switch carriers, you can make changes, look for plans, all that stuff directly from here rather than having to carry around physical cards. And yeah, I said I would repeat it. Remember, eSIM equals SIM card, they're performing the same function. Now you know, eSIM equals SIM card, they basically perform the same function, which is to identify your phone to a mobile network. Now, the second and very important part of this equation is the service provider. The service provider is what lets you onto a network and what determines which features you get with a particular service. For example, when you sign up to an AT&T plan, you're choosing between one of several options that they offer. You may, for example, have an unlimited talk and text plan with a limit of 10 gigabytes of internet per month. Remember, it's not the SIM card, but the service provider that determines which features you get with a particular mobile plan. Blanket statements like eSIMs don't come with phone numbers aren't accurate because the features and options for mobile plans depend on the service provider. But I know why there's some confusion here. It's because eSIMs have exploded in popularity with travelers, and companies like Airalo, eSIM, and Olafly offer short-term eSIMs to travelers that often only have data, no SMS or phone numbers included. If you sign up for service when you're traveling abroad with an eSIM provider like Airalo or eSIM and it doesn't come with a phone number, that is not a limitation of the eSIM technology, but rather a limitation of the service provider. Like I mentioned, if you already have a phone plan with a phone number at home, chances are if you're on a newer phone, you're already using an eSIM, and that does come with a phone number. And that's all due to the service provider, what they offer. The way many telecommunications companies that are focused on eSIMs for travel, like Nomad or Airlo, the way they operate is they offer local service in countries around the world to provide you with mobile data. In many countries, though, there are stronger requirements for getting an actual phone number, like providing an address, name, and other personally identifying information. The travel eSIM companies, because they technically operate outside of those countries and don't want to pay local regulatory fees, simply just offer data in most places. Since you're usually only going to use the card for a matter of weeks or just a few months, that isn't usually an issue. And again, it's the service, not the technology of eSIMs, which is limiting you from getting a phone number. For example, if you go to England and walk into a Vodafone shop, you can get an eSIM that comes with a phone number. You'll have to fill out your personal information, show your ID, and sign up, and they'll install an eSIM on your phone or a physical SIM card possibly if you have an older phone. So yes, an eSIM can come with a phone number, but in many cases it means just a little bit more work. For most people traveling on a shorter trip, it's just easier to do everything right from your phone and go with data only. Hopefully that clears up some of the confusion so far, but let me answer some of your most common questions and stay till the end because I have one that's going to save you some money. What happens to your old eSIM from home? Your phone probably supports multiple eSIMs. You can deactivate your home eSIM when you're traveling abroad and only use the travel eSIM. For example, if your home mobile service plan might charge you for roaming, then when you're traveling abroad, you may want to deactivate that card in the phone settings and just use your travel SIM. Or you can use both eSIMs at once. Most newer phones will support dual eSIM use. So the answer is you can use one eSIM, the other eSIM, both eSIMs at the same time, or neither of the eSIMs. How do you get a phone number with an eSIM? Well, that depends on the service. Most short-term focused eSIM providers don't come with a phone number, but that might not be the case depending on the country the service provider is in. So a German eSIM might not have a phone number, but one in Argentina might. Alright, so bonus tip, if you really want a local phone number or you want to be able to send SMS messages with that local service, then what you got to do is at the airport, find a kiosk. Most of them are going to have a kiosk for a mobile service provider. Sign up there, get an eSIM, get that installed on your phone, and you're going to get a phone number most likely with some SMS messaging and probably some data as well. Or if you're arriving late or you just don't want to do this at the airport, in town you can find one of the large carriers for that particular country and then sign up there at a shop, and chances are you will get a phone number, an SMS, and probably some data as well. It takes a little bit more time, and chances are it's going to be a little bit more expensive than just going with a travel eSIM. But it can be done. However, if you do decide to go without a phone number and just a data plan only, here's how you can use it. First of all of your messaging apps, iMessage, WhatsApp, Signal, anything that's sending messages via the internet, in other words, not SMS, will work with a data plan. You can also make internet calls with those services, like calling over WhatsApp or using FaceTime or anything else similar. Basically, anything that works with Wi-Fi will work with your data plan. And if you really want to be able to use a phone number, you have two main options. The first option is to use or activate the international calling features from your plan at home and then run your phone in dual eSIM mode whenever you need to make a call or send an SMS. I recommend only activating both eSIMs at the same time when it's absolutely needed, just to save on battery life and to make sure you're not accidentally using data from home, which could get expensive or eat up unnecessary bandwidth. So with your home phone service provider, you may want to sign up for a modest international plan so that you can make phone calls with your home phone number or get SMS messages when you need to get an authentication text to log into your bank account or work email, for example. And the other option, if you want a phone number, is to get a local SIM card to go into a shop to a major carrier and not use one of the online stores like Airlo. You won't be using your home phone number in those cases. You'll be using a local phone number, but still, you'll have a phone number. Bonus tip for all of those accounts online that require an authentication text for you to be able to log in, try to get that set up so that you have an alternative method as an option, like using an authenticator email or an email address. That way, when you're abroad, you're less reliant on SMS to log into your most important accounts. Another question I've seen a lot of you ask me in the comments is, when I go overseas, does my number change or stay the same? And I'm guessing by now that you are already guessing the correct answer, which is no. The eSIMs act completely independently from each other, just like physical SIM cards would. So if you sign up for mobile service with another carrier, that's not going to affect anything from the other SIM, including the phone number. Your service and phone number stay the same on one eSIM, and your service and phone number, if it comes with one, stay the same on the other eSIM. And yes, that includes things like voicemails too. Your voicemails on one account don't cross over to your other account. And if you're going data only, you might be wondering, how much data do I need? Well, there's a simple trick to figure that out. To find out how much data you'll need to purchase, go into your phone settings and look at how much cellular data you've used in the past 30 days. Let's say you've used 4 gigabytes in the last month and you're thinking about getting a travel eSIM for 1 month, get 5 gigabytes. You'll probably use more data when you're traveling, and it's always better to get a gigabyte or two more than you think you'll need. Most eSIM apps will notify you when you start running low on data so you can top them off or get a new card as they run low, but just in case, it's always a good idea to have a little bit more data than you think you'll need. Now, that tip to save money, let me tell you about that. For each country that you're planning to travel to, consider checking at least 2 different eSIM stores. That means downloading 2 or more of the many eSIM app providers and comparing prices. I found they can vary quite a bit based on the location because one eSIM provider, like Olafly, works with different local operators than eSIM, for example, and it can save you some money by checking both. Also, some eSIM stores like Airlo in various locations require you to scan or upload your ID first, but others like InstaBridge might not. It's good to have options. It can potentially save you some money. All right, now some rapid fire questions that you asked me as well. Do I need to use my travel eSIM within the time frame the card is valid for? Yes, if you get a 7-day eSIM, it's only good for 7 days, but that countdown timer doesn't start until you activate the eSIM. It doesn't start when you purchase the eSIM. So you can purchase the eSIM before and then activate it right before your trip to maximize that amount of time. And some of the service providers like eSIM will let you schedule when that eSIM gets activated, so that way you can set it up to start right before your trip so you make the most out of the 7, 30, or 3 days. And if you're wondering about any unused data, it doesn't roll over. It's use it or lose it. Can I purchase an eSIM in advance? Yes, you can purchase an eSIM in advance. Just remember that its validity starts when you activate the card, not when you purchase it. And last thing you might not know about is that you can purchase regional eSIMs. So if you're traveling to multiple countries in Southeast Asia or Central America, for example, in a relatively short time, it may be better to purchase an eSIM for Asia or for Central America, the entire region, as opposed to by country by country. The regional eSIMs tend to be a little bit more expensive compared to a single country eSIM, so you're paying a little bit more, but you're getting some convenience by not having to get a new card for each country. So if you're going from one country to the other country in like a week or something like that, it just might be easier and worth it to pay a little bit extra to get that regional card. Again, this is where price comparing between providers and also within the same provider can come in handy. I hope this video clarifies your most commonly asked questions about eSIMs, but if you have any others, feel free to let me know down in the comments section. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week. Also in the description, I've linked to several other videos I've made about eSIMs, purchasing them, setting them up, all that. So if you have any other questions, check those out first. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.